This Bass Pro Shops night race betting picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on football only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. We're also brought to you by Gametime. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use promo code SGPN on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Gametime app and use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play the Underdog Pick'em in college or NFL or NASCAR and win up to 20 times in one game. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month. Start making smarter bets today. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Always here to talk racing things. It is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He is Cody Zeeb. I am Rod Villagomez. We are night racing in Bristol this week. Cannot wait to watch these cars under the lights. The dirt is off. We cleaned it off. We're on asphalt again, and we are going short track racing in the playoffs. Cody, it's an exciting weekend. Obviously coming off of one of the historic weekends on the show, but gearing up for, I think, another fantastic weekend of racing.
Yeah, this is going to be a great weekend of racing. Bristol, one of the classic NASCAR tracks, provides drama, provides chaos, and it's fun to watch. Like you said, Saturday night, so make sure you set your DVRs, tune in. It'll be 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on USA. But yeah, they're going to be under the lights, and this will be the first cutoff race of the playoffs for the Cup Series. We get the Xfinity Series Friday night under the lights, the Craftsman Trucks Thursday night under the lights. Make sure you're tuned into the NASCAR Gambling Podcast YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter/X. Might be something special coming for that Truck Series show. Again, still hammering out the details, and we'll see if the books ever decide to give us lines since it's kind of an early race. Let's get on that, but pay attention because that show will be coming out for you soon. I'm excited. It's going to be a great week. Obviously, coming off of a great week last week, we hit outrights in all three races. Hit the outright to win the pole. It was a fun week. It was great. Recapped all that yesterday on the recap show. Now we're face forward on to Bristol this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, and I've got a bunch of people coming over, too. I've got my uncles coming over who loves racing. I got my dad and brother coming up. We're going to make a night out of this because it's Bristol, and it's a way to celebrate racing, and this is probably the only one that my uncle could come down for. So we're like, come on down to this one. We'll put you up and put some spread on there. So definitely looking forward to that. Cody, I want to steer something for a second. I just want to say that I would publicly like to thank Stephon Diggs. I know this isn't an NFL gambling podcast or a fantasy football podcast, but I would just like to put this out in the world. Thank you, Stephon Diggs, because he single-handedly lifted me above you. Garrett Wilson got that touchdown to make it interesting, but I have beaten Cody head-to-head in our fantasy league this year or this season.
I
Because
was surprised it didn't come up. He was saving it. That was very, very smart, very thought out by you, Rod. Rod did get me. We faced a head-to-head, and just barely got me there. So congratulations. You win the battle of who's better at fantasy football for week 1 at least.
The universe looked out for me because he gave you everything on the weekend, and he was like, you know what? Fine. Have the fantasy football win. That's fine.
I thought all the cashing bets were because of my football teams all suck, but either way.
I don't know. I don't care how it worked out. I just needed that W because my whole weekend was garbage except for that one. So
there you go. I went 2-0 against our friend Justin Mark of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast. So I was pretty happy about that.
Oof, that's rough. All right. So one thing I want to hit before we start talking about the race and about that in general, news came out. We just saw Noah Gragson being reinstated by NASCAR. I kind of joked in the Discord, 1 month of self-reflection and he's all better. I mean, and not to make light of it, but again, I get it. I understand you take a month off, you cool your jets, you kind of collect where you're at mentally. So good for him, but also like, come on, man, a month and you're going to make a grand sweeping statement like that. It's kind of like,
he's done what they required him to do, right?
It's true.
We're not going to measure offenses, but his might have been less of an offense than other people. Still something that needed to be addressed, was addressed. NASCAR feels like it's been handled. I think maybe he's done the right thing. According to Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy Johnson said that he talks to Noah all the time still. He said they had no plans to release Noah, whether that's the truth or not, and that it was Noah's decision to want to leave the team. So who knows? We'll see. He's a talented driver, obviously. I personally believe in second chances, and I think that he will get one. It'll be interesting to see where. Sam Mayer announced that he's coming back to JRM today. I believe that only leaves one seat left, and that's the number 8, which strong rumors are it's going to be Carson Kvapil. So I don't know where Noah's going to end up next year. Dale Jr. was talking about him on his podcast. I think it was last week on the Dale Jr. Download. Mentioned it might be good for him to go to the Truck Series and establish, a winning record there and then work his way back up. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. But, like you said, he's actually done an opposite of Larson, right? Larson was suspended, and then we saw him racing 7-8 nights a week. I mean, there's only 7 nights in the week, and he was finding 8 nights to race. It was pretty crazy, but we saw him everywhere, right? And Gragson's been the opposite. He completely stepped away. We've not seen him do any type of racing. He is going to compete in an ASA race this weekend. So getting back into it, obviously, you're going to have to figure out if he's got partners that want to be with him, associated with him, all of that. It'll be interesting to see what the next step is and where he kind of lands. Not going to completely rule out. It's going to be a shocker who Kaulig signed. They haven't announced it. Why are they waiting to announce who they signed? Did he need to be reinstated by NASCAR first? Who knows?
That could be the case. And I'm with you, though. I fully believe in second chances. I'm probably too much of a softie anyways, and I've given my fair share of second chances out to people. So I'm not without heart in this one as far as, letting somebody back in the sport if they truly have done the work to get back into it. So I would love to see him back in there because we know that he was a talented guy in the Xfinity Series. We would talk about him all the time last season. We were talking about all top 5s, top 3s, winners. I mean, his name came up as much as anybody else's in that series, as much as Ty Gibbs in that series. In fact, a lot of times they came up in the same conversation as to who was going to finish better, who was going to win. So I don't want him out of the sport completely. So yeah, I wish that somebody would find a way to get him back. Whether you're right, Cody, whether it's back in the Truck Series, I don't know that he needs to go down that far, though. I think he's proven that he's a winning enough driver. He just needed a better we already said it too. That Legacy Motor Club team was not a good team.
Look what Eric Jones did this last week. Look what Carson Oswald has done in the car. But Eric Jones was struggling at that time. Yeah. Earlier, I think Legacy as a whole was struggling at that point. Hard to compare that too much. Obviously, going through the time of the announcement to switch to Toyota. I think that an Xfinity ride would be perfect. What Xfinity ride that might be, who knows? If the JRM rides are all, what was that, Rod? I didn't catch that.
Oh, I said the 11.
Hey, as long as that means the guy who was in the 11 doesn't move up to the Cup Series, who knows? But yeah, I think that he's going to get a good chance, and it'll be nice to see him back. A couple other news items that came out today. Mentioned Sam Mayer.
Can we wait on the news items?
Let's wait on the news items. Good idea.
Let's wait on the news items. You know what? Because the news items, not the nude items, the news items. We got to take care of some business.
You got to wait on the nude items too, but that's a different show.
That's a whole different show. We got to tell you about DraftKings, guys. We got to tell you about DraftKings. Why? Because they are keeping the train rolling. They are keeping you in the green because we continue to use them to provide bets for you week in and week out. So if your account is looking a little fatter in DraftKings, that's because they continue to help us do that. But also, football's back in full swing with another week of epic games. Who's got you covered on the action for every single one of them? That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Your new customer, which some of you guys listening aren't, but if you are and you haven't gotten there yet, bet $5 on any football game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Nobody's missing out on the action too all season long because every single one of you DraftKings customers, now I'm talking to all of you, can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Get in on the NFL Week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now. Use code SGP to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. You want to buy tickets for stuff? You want to wait till the last minute? Well, good luck for you because you are going to run into a ton of problems unless you download the Gametime app, because the Gametime app not only alleviates the stress of buying all of these tickets last minute for whatever sporting event, for whatever concert, for whatever you're buying tickets for. Gametime app is going to help you to wait until the last minute. They're going to reward you for it, in fact, with last minute flash deals with all of the best prices that they guarantee. They're also going to give you tickets and pictures from the seats where you're going to be sitting. So not only can you see that you're in the nosebleeds because that's where you like, because you just want to listen to the music, you don't care what's going on stage, they're going to show you the picture from where you're looking. So that's amazing feature that they've got going on there. Again, I love to buy tickets last minute because I never know when I'm going to be able to make it out to something. This Gametime app going to help me do that and not feel bad about it at all. So hopefully they do that for you as well. In fact, they should already be doing that for you as well. What are you doing? Go download the Gametime app now. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code SGPN, hooking you up with $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Cody. Now we can resume the news. Now we have given everybody enough to go out and download Gametime and DraftKings and do all that stuff and help support the show and keep winning you guys money.
Yeah, those are all important things. Supporting the show, winning money. I mean, what else are we here for, right? Exactly. So love it. Next up in the news category, Sam Mayer is going to return. I mentioned that obviously earlier. We'll maybe touch on that a little more in the Xfinity show later this week. Mountain Dew is back. I don't know if that's really newsworthy, but I think it is because it's great to see. They're going to be on the 31 colleague car this week. Mountain Dew always has some really awesome paint schemes. And obviously, long history in the sports, going back to Darrell Waltrip days back in the day. Dale Earnhardt Jr., obviously, different variations of Mountain Dew with their
Code Red. Didn't they have a Code Red on there for a while?
I think they did. Yeah. What was that energy drink they had too? That's Amp. That's what it was. Yeah. Obviously,
that was mine. I probably single-handedly kept them in business by drinking as many amps as I did back in the day.
There you go. So yes, Mountain Dew returning to the sport. That's great to see. Pepsi, obviously, with Jeff Gordon with the Pepsi 400, big part of the series for a long time as well. Bob Pockrass, I tweeted this out earlier. They're going to, and I think this is a massive overreaction, but it's going to happen anyways. NASCAR announced today the Charlotte Road Course is going to have cautions at the end of the stages. I get it. Watkins Glen and Indy were boring. Think about Sonoma earlier this year. Think about Coda earlier this year. Those were not boring. And again, it's going to play too much into, guys are going to stay out, get their points to try and move on to the next round. It's going to cost people wins. I don't like it. I think it's an overreaction to a couple of more boring races. I get it. Those were the most two recent ones. We shouldn't even have the Roval in here. Anyways, it should be the 1.5 mile track. That's what they should announce. We're tossing out the Roval. We're going to race at Charlotte because 1.5 mile tracks have been the shit lately. But instead, we're going to go to the Roval, and we're going to have cautions at the end of road courses. I'm not a big fan, but, whatever, I guess.
Well, and so for me, it's like, this is when you try something once, it doesn't work, and you're like, I hate this. We only did it this once. We've only done it this go. Right. If it happens again next season, after teams figure, because you're telling the teams, you guys aren't smart enough to figure this out and how to make this race exciting. So we're just going to go ahead.
They want more drama, right? Because if you have guaranteed restarts, it's going to be guaranteed chaos. You've got the extra playoff pressure on it. I think they announced they're going to start the green flags, or the restart zone is going to be in the chicane this year. I don't know. Very, very interesting. And then, like I said, this is a playoff cutoff race. So we will chop the field from 16 to 12. Let's see. Entries for this race. Yaley is going to be in the 15. Carson Hocevar in the 42. Let's see. Is it still Cole Custer in the 51? I feel like that got changed to Ryan Newman. BJ is back. I think. Let me see if I can find a different.
Because the one I've seen it hasn't. I still says Cole Custer, but
but I believe because that charter is actually it's NASCAR has it as Ryan Newman. That 51 charter is in jeopardy of being repossessed if they finish in the bottom 3 of the standings again this year, which they are well on their way to do. Let's see the owner standings here. Those cars are not competing, so it's the 78, the 51, and the 15. They're behind the 77, which is not really that far. They're only 2 points behind the 77 for the 33rd spot, which would put them out of that. But if they do finish in the bottom 3, NASCAR, according to the charter agreement, could technically repossess their charter, and then at that point, you sell it to the highest bidder, or I don't know what the process is, obviously, with it, but interesting to watch. I don't know that NASCAR would do that. They've obviously signed Justin Haley for next year. They've got the expanded RFK partnership. They appear like they're trying, which I think is a key part of NASCAR wanting to do it. So I don't think they would, but something to note at least. But for the playoff battle, Kyle Larson locked into the next round. Tyler Reddick locked into the next round. Doesn't matter what happens. They don't really care what happens. Denny Hamlin is 49 points to the good. He doesn't need to have too much happen during his day to advance. Same for William Byron at 41 points to the good. Keselowski's not feeling too bad at 33 points to the good. Then you got Blaney at 25, Busch at 24, Chastain at 18, Buescher at 13, Bell at 13, Logano at 12, Harvick at 7. Underneath the cutoff line coming into the weekend, the points series regular season champion, Martin Truex Jr. He's 7 below the cutoff. Bubba Wallace is 19. Stenhouse is 22. Michael McDowell is a whopping 40 points down. He's going to need some guys right in front of him to have a lot of problems, or he's going to have to win probably. But the Truex thing has definitely sparked some conversation, Rod. If the regular season champion were to get eliminated. Now, as bad as his first 2 races have been, he's only 7 points out. So earning all of those extra points have come in handy, right? He's almost gotten the mulligan. So I don't know. I was reading this tweet here, which I really agreed with, from Austin Konensky, I think is how you say his name. If Martin Truex Jr. doesn't make the round of 12, there will be complaints about a flawed playoff format, but I think NASCAR has this perfected. Sports should have a playoff, and if you don't achieve the results when it matters, you don't deserve a title. Ask the 07 Patriots, ask the 2016 Golden State Warriors. It's okay to enjoy the playoffs and the drama that surrounds it. Everybody in every other American sport cannot wait for their playoffs. His tune on this has undoubtedly changed for the different, but it's been almost a decade. I agree. I am a Patriots fan, and that team going undefeated in 07 and losing in the Super Bowl, I hated it, right? Of course. Like, my team had a chance to do something that only one other team had done join was it 72 Dolphins, 71 Dolphins? I should probably know which year it was, but
72.
yeah, and they didn't. But also, as a sports fan, that's what makes it great. The wild card Giants could still win the Super Bowl, knock over Goliath, and that's what makes it great. The Golden State Warriors, similar thing in 2016. They were the best team, and that's why you have the playoffs, and different playoffs are structured differently, right? You got series of 7 in or 5 in baseball and in basketball, depending on where you're at. You kind of have that in NASCAR, right? It's 3. You get all the teams to compete, which is something other sports don't get, which is great. You get the cushion, right? It's not just straight up head to head. He gets the points he earned throughout the season, gets the extra points for being the regular season champion. I love the playoff format. I think that it's good. I get that that's not traditional for racing, but we've been doing some sort of playoffs for 20 years almost. So at this point, get used to it. That's how it is. And these guys know going into it, you don't get a free pass to the next round. You still have to earn it. He gets a lot easier of a road than everybody else because he earned it. And I think that is fair. But if he does go out, and I think he would be the first regular season champion knocked out in the first round in the 16 format, which it would be a crazy story, but I like it, and I think this is how it should be. I don't think it should change.
Well, and again, this would be one of those overreactions to something that's an outlier. I mean, obviously, this is why they kept doing this for Jimmy Johnson, too. They kept changing the rules to try to keep Jimmy Johnson out of the playoffs. He kept making the playoffs. And if you keep changing the rules to get the outcome that you want, then you're ruining the sport already, and I think this playoff format, the way they have it now, I think they're right. I think they have tweaked it enough to where it is fair. I mean, again, like you said, baseball, basketball, they all have multiple games to settle their playoffs. The same thing with NASCAR. You have 3 shots to win to get in or to accumulate enough points to stay in. It's almost like a 3-game series each and every time. So if you don't do it within that allotted time, I'm sorry, I got nothing for you. It's a game of Survivor at that point, and I'm Jeff Probst. I'm sending you home because I'm going to snuff your torch. Like, you didn't do it when it mattered. Like, I'm sorry, you missed the shot. You had a stellar regular season, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to give you the championship. You got to go out and earn it. So yeah, I definitely agree with the format. Love it. Don't want anything to do with it, but yeah, we're good on that one.
Yeah, I completely agree. And bad news for Truex. He's not very good here. So we'll talk about that later.
We will talk about that later. We'll talk about this race in particular, but I got to tell you about Hall of Fame bets first. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame bets. Sports betting analytics program for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. You enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool. You're going to get hit rates broken down by leg as well as expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame bet app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside or drive alongside your favorite football team or NASCAR drivers all season long. Can you tell what's not in the script and what I'm adding? With their fantasy pick'em, you pick between 2 to 5 players or drivers. Select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats. Then do what you usually spend your Sundays doing, watching the games or the races. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5-4-5. It's fantasy, but you can win real money. Tune in on Friday. We're going to give you all the Underdog pick and plays you're going to possibly want for this race. Not just Cup race, but Xfinity as well. So keep an eye out for that as well. So watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. All right, so it is, of course, the Bass Pro Shops night race, 500 laps around this track that is Bristol. It is the 0.533 mile paved track for 266.5 miles. Just because the paint scheme on Martin Truex's car is the Bass Pro Shop, which I think it's going to be right this week as well.
I think
Bass Pro Shops, it better be on the Bass Pro Shop.
I would imagine, yeah.
Does not necessarily mean we're going to be on him for sure, but obviously we will talk about that in a second. Bristol used to have 2 concrete races, 2 paved races a season. Obviously we threw dirt on one of them, and now this is the only one that is paved. So as we go back through the history of this, obviously you have to differentiate between whether it is a dirt race or whether it is a oval concrete race. So yeah, I mean, again, short track racing in general kind of leads itself into a certain direction, but as we know, chaos looms, and to have a short track race as the last race and the cutoff race of a round, whew, buddy, we're talking some serious aggression throwing itself around this weekend. It's gonna be nuts. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, no question about it. It's going to be intense. And there's a lot of storylines, right? There's a lot of guys close on this bubble. Stage points are going to be so important. Strategy is going to come into play. If there's a late caution, you're going to have guys pitting to get off cycle. Things are going to be all over the place. It's going to get crazy. You're going to have guys staying out trying to catch cautions, guys trying to short pit. We're going to get the full slate of everything as they try to figure out how to move on to the next round.
Indeed. And as always, we've got your card for you guys. We are going to start laying out some bets that we like for this Bass Pro Shops night race. You know, the thing about it, being under the lights makes it so much more exciting. And I know for you East Coasters and for those of you folks that aren't over here on the Best Coast, it's going to get kind of late and past your bedtime. Stick with it. The ending's going to be exactly what you want out of it. So I'm sorry that it's going to end, you know, at 10, 11 o'clock, your guys' times. Just take whatever you need to take to stay up. Enjoy the race.
There you go. Good, good speech, Rada. I like it. This week, I'm going to say it was a little harder for me to build a card this week. Usually I kind of go into a race having 1 or 2 guys really circled, and these are the guys I want to target. These are the guys I'm going to find some way to really bet on them. I don't necessarily have that this week at all. Some really good odds out here. Found some good value stuff, but there's nothing that is just like jumping off the page to me, screaming like this is the absolute you must bet. That being said, obviously I don't give out picks unless I believe in them. So I found plenty that I do like, but definitely had to work a little bit for it this week, Rod. I don't know how you felt. The one bet that I did want, you did steal from me. So
Hey,
I found a different way to play the same guy.
I got to the dock first today. So I was like, yeah, and I'm going to continue to do so for reasons that reason. No, listen, for me, I sort of just, here's what I did. I took a quick peek at the books because they actually had a full spread up this early on Tuesday. So I was pretty happy about that. But then I kind of just stopped and I went through the track history and I went through all of what I normally go through. I did that first because I felt like I wanted the track to if I can get all holistic here, I wanted the track to speak to me. I wanted names to come out just organically rather than me looking through the odds trying to see, okay, which one's the better bet. You know, I was like, okay, well, here's the names I'm seeing, and I'm going to build my card around that and see what the best ways I can get in on these drivers are.
Yeah, I like it. All right, Rod.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
I landed on one team that I've not been too fond of this year, but I'll explain why. Chase Briscoe has been a theme in our Discord. We try to fade him at any chance we get. I know we cashed a few bets in the Discord that were given out last week. Head-to-head against him, he was a little more impressive than he had been lately on bigger tracks, but he's been slow a lot of the season, right? Kind of made fun of him. It's been like, gosh, that team just sucks. But when it comes to short tracks, he's no longer brisk. No, instead he is brisk. Yes, give me Chase Briscoe over Daniel Suarez plus 110 over on Caesars. I've talked about it lately, how I just don't have any love at all for Trackhouse right now, and especially not Daniel Suarez. You saw it at the end of the Kansas race last week. He decides to stay out, and he looks like he's driving his little tyke and down the highway. Like, It just dropped like a freaking rock through the field. And Chase Briscoe has been good here, Rod. He's only 2 seasons in, so we don't have a ton of statistics. Obviously, he's had 2 races here, but he has got, this is his 3rd best track for average finish. He's finished 13th and 14th here in his 2 starts. Last year he was 4th and 3rd in the 2 stages, so he had a fast car throughout the day. It's funny because if you go back and you look through his finishes lately, it's 19th, 15th, 30th, 35th. Then you get Indy Road Course and he's 6th, 31st. Then you go to Richmond, which is, there's not really any comparable tracks to Bristol. It's kind of its own beast, right? But you're looking at the short track package. So Richmond you can throw out there, nice 11th place finish. Then it's 29th, 10th at New Hampshire. Again, not comparable, but short track package again. He was 4th at North Wilkesboro. He was 5th at Martinsville. He was 5th here on the dirt in the spring. I don't put any weight into the dirt race, but it looked nice to say. So this is the one time I'll mention it. It's hard to compare the dirt to this. So, but Chase Briscoe has been really good on short tracks. That's the point. Daniel Suarez has not finished better than 19th over the last 3 weeks. Yes, he restarted first in overtime last week. Did not finish better than 19th, to my point of him being a little tyke. But he hasn't been great on this track either. His last 4 races, he hasn't finished better than 16th here. Trackhouse, like I said, just hasn't been great lately. You look back at some of the short tracks, 33rd at Richmond, 16th at New Hampshire, 17th at Martinsville. And then in the 2 times they've gone head-to-head at this track in Bristol here, it's been Briscoe both years. So this is plus money. This matchup jumped right off the board to me. I already knew I was going to get in on Briscoe. Spoiler alert, there's more bets on Briscoe. I know it's, again, sounds scary, but he's actually cashed some bets. I can't remember which one it was, but one of these good finishes he had earlier in the season, we cashed on him because he did cash a top 5 for us. I think it was at Martinsville, actually. But we know he's really good at the short tracks. They really, really, really lack for speed. But it's because you go back and you look, we've talked about Ford, right, and how it's been a rough season for them. Rod, if you go back and you look at the last couple of short tracks we've had, Richmond here, we'll pull it up. You had a Ford in 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 10th, 11th, like littered with Fords at the top of the board. You go back and you look at New Hampshire. Obviously, it was won by a Toyota, but then Ford in 4th, Ford in 5th, Ford in 10th. Like, you had guys, Ford's just, their short track package is really good. Stuart Haas specifically has a very good short track package. Chase Briscoe, even more so, is a great short track racer. So it all points that way. And I get a fade a Trackhouse guy, and it's not even the better of the 2 not doing good Trackhouse guys. Yes, please, plus money. Give me Chase Briscoe. Yes, over Daniel Suarez, plus 110.
The only reason, and it's because you are pairing him up against Daniel Suarez, that I will say yes to this, because it's just any other driver, I probably would have pushed back a lot, but Daniel Suarez, like you said, just has not had the feel on that car. Trackhouse has sort of been successful to the point of failure at this point now. It's just they've found a way to turn every bit of their success into a struggle this season. So I will back you on this play. I actually found a qualifying bet on Caesars. They actually have some qualifying bets out right now. Head-to-heads in qualifying, by the way. So I love it. I jumped on one. And I'm going to take these. Yeah, Joey Logano over Kevin Harvick in qualifying. This is at -115. This is over on Caesars. I know that this is a one that makes you go, really though? Because Kevin Harvick on this track has been balls lately. But as far as qualifying, Joey Logano is actually the better qualifier on this track in general. His average starting position here is 8th place, whereas Kevin Harvick's average is 15th. Take a look at the last 4 or 5 races even. So for Kevin Harvick, you think, okay, he's qualified in the top 10 in each of his last 5, right? Couple of 8th place starts in 2019 and 2020, a 4th place in the 2020 race where he won, 8th, 7th. Well, it's kind of hard to beat that, right? Well, over the last 5 races for Logano, or we'll even go back 6 races, 7th in 2019, 11th in 2019, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, right? Last year, he qualified 15th. So sort of an outlier on this, not necessarily caring where they finish, obviously, just kind of where they're starting. Average starting position this season for these guys. Joey Logano, average start of 10th place. Kevin Harvick doesn't qualify well. 15th place is his average starting place this season. Go back at the last few races. 20th at Kansas. He did have a 7th at Darlington. Great. 10th at Daytona. 33rd at Watkins Glen. 38th at Indy GP. Obviously, 2 road courses kind of toss those out. 22nd at Michigan. 8th at Richmond. Pretty good stretch there. But again, just some qualifying issues lately for Kevin Harvick, whereas Joey Logano, 11th at Kansas, 6th at Darlington, 14th at Daytona, 11th at Watkins Glen, 18th at Indy, 6th at Michigan, right? 23rd at Richmond, but he finished 4th. That was good. 6th at Pocono, 4th at Loudon, 4th at Atlanta. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on as far as where Joey Logano started. And in most of these head-to-heads, I did not go out and count all of them, but in most of these head-to-heads, Joey Logano has been the one that has started in front of Kevin Harvick. It doesn't, like I said, Kevin Harvick, this track has his name all over it as far as top 10s, starts top 5s. He just doesn't start well on this. He finds his way to the front, but he doesn't start well. Whereas Joey Logano at least starts well. Where he winds up, well, I don't really care at this point. Well, I'll care later when I give his name out later, but he's going to start up front. He's going to start better than Kevin Harvick on this. So I like this head-to-head in qualifying. Grab it now before it goes away.
I just love the fact that you can take a head-to-head in qualifying. I think they need to offer top 5s. I think they need to offer top 10s. I think they need to offer more of these, and we'll just have to have a qualifying show added to the lineup next year, Rod. So let's keep doing this, Books. I like it.
Yes, I agree. I when I saw that, I was like, whoa. First of all, I thought, oh man, is this the only thing they're going to give us? And then I found the rest of it. But I was like, this is amazing. Let's do this. Come on.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Next up for me, I'm going to take a race head-to-head, and I'm going to take your boy Kevin Harvick there over regular season champion Martin Truex Jr. This is minus 115. For Kevin Harvick, this is his he has the 3rd best average finish here since 2020. And one of those guys ahead of him is actually Clint Boyer, so the 2nd average finish of all drivers here at 6.0. Martin Truex Jr. is 33rd on that list, Rod. Bristol has not been super kind to him. He finished 36th here last year. They had a mechanical problem very early in the race, and his night was over. He did finish 7th here the race before that, but 24th. So 36th, 7th, and 24th in his last 3. Kevin Harvick's last 3 here, 10th last year. 2nd here the year before, only because Chase Elliott held him up and allowed Kyle Larson to go ahead and win that race. The previous year, Harvick won. So that is 2 of the last 3 he should have won, but at least finished 1st or 2nd. And he's got 5 straight finishes inside of the top 11. So you're telling me Kevin Harvick consistently finishes well here. Martin Truex Jr. struggles. I don't need much more of a case than that. Could Martin Truex Jr. come out and win this race, be the fastest car all night, be great? Absolutely. So keep that in mind. But when it comes to consistency, Kevin Harvick is great here. Could be one of his final chances. Well, is one of his final chances to win. He's only got so many races left, right? So we're getting down towards the end here. Wants to show up this week. Let's see, where is he at when it comes to? Oh boy, I lost my playoff standings here. He is sitting. Oh yeah, he is the last driver on the cutoff. These guys are actually the last driver in and the first driver out. 7-point difference between them. Kevin Harvick is going to be doing his best to score points all night. I think he's going to have a good car. I think it's not going to come easy for Truex, despite how hard they may try. So give me Kevin Harvick over Martin Truex Jr. minus 115 over on Bet365.
I mean, Kevin Harvick, like I said, I'll go further into his stats later on in the race, but it's so hard to look at that track history and not think that there will be something of Kevin Harvick. I mean, we keep saying it every week, but his time is running out. Like, I don't know how much more time is going to run out on this guy before he can do something. So we'll get there in a second, but I do agree with you on that. Poor Truex, man. It sucks to be that good all season long, only to kind of watch it slip away. But yeah, again, this can cash even with Truex having, I think, a top 5 days. So I think we're good on that. All right. I will take one that I don't know that I would have taken a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like Kyle Busch has found himself, I think, just a renewed sense of something, despite having a pretty, up and down season all season long. But he has turned in at least 3 good finishes in a row. for Kyle Busch. I think that's where we're going to hang our hat on this stat as well, but also because his name is plastered all over the leaderboard at this track as well. So I'm going to take Kyle Busch over Ryan Blaney. This is at -110 over on Superbook. I was telling you about Kyle Busch's name being plastered all over this track. 8 wins in his career, the most of active drivers on this track, over his brother by 2 on this one. And the next closest one is Kevin Harvick at 3. So he owns this track. 14 top 5s, 19 top 10s, right? The guy's legendary on this track. He has led 2,593 laps on this track. The next closest is Kevin Harvick at 1,200. So Kyle Busch, fast at Bristol. Stop me if I'm wrong. I get it. I get that was all in the 18 car, right? I get that it was all in a Joe Gibbs car. I know that we can kind of not necessarily compare apples to oranges here, but this is still Kyle Busch. This is still a guy that has won 3 races this season, right? I mean, he's got the ability to do it. We just haven't seen it lately. That's the problem. But Daytona 7th, Darlington 11th, Kansas 7th. Look back at what he did earlier at Richmond. He started 2nd, but this was part of his bad luck, right, where he finished 14th. So I'm hoping that he's turned himself around. I really do, because like I said, you look at this track, I've named off all this stuff. Like the last couple of races for him have been tough. 21st, 24th. He had engine problems in 2022. But before that, 2nd, 4th, 4th, 1st, 20th, first, right? He won 2 in a row, 3 out of 4. Like he's gonna get something done on this track. He absolutely has to. I think he's found his way. He knows that he can't mess around anymore. As for Ryan Blaney, on the other hand, this track, not his track, not even close. Average finish of 19.5. He's got 5 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and 13 starts. Last finish was 30th. Before that, 4th place, not bad, right? But in the 2020 race, the last one of them, 13th, 40th, 10th, 4th, 7th, 35th, 10th, 33rd. There's a lot of 30s in that spot. So Ryan Blaney, not necessarily a fan of Bristol. His last 4 starts, not as kind as Kyle Busch's either. Watkins Glen 9th, Daytona 36th, Darlington 9th, Kansas 12th. So good, solid finishes, but not great. And that's not something you want to see heading into a track that the guy in the other end of this heads up is just dominant in. So give me Kyle Busch over Ryan Blaney, -110 over on Superbook.
Boy, this is a battle of which guy can you trust this week, which guy can you not trust any other week. But if you're going to have to pick one of those guys that you're not sure who you can trust, I'll take the guy who's won here 8 times. So you don't have to bend my arm too much more to lean on the Kyle Busch side of this one as well. Rod, going back to the well, I'm all in on Chase Briscoe. Yes, this week, give me him to finish in the top 10 plus 325 over on Bet365. Top 5, 10-1. I will take both of them. I already made the case for him earlier. He is just really good on short tracks, and the books don't adjust enough because why would they, right? He looks like shit everywhere else. Like that's how it is. Like looks bad on a week-to-week basis, and that's why it's hard to place these bets. You got to hover over it, and you're like, do I really want to do this? But you got to believe in the fact that he's good on short tracks, and he just consistently shows it. Got his win at Phoenix last year. He's run really well at short tracks this year. It's been 13th and 14th in his first 2 seasons on this track, so hasn't finished inside the top 10 or top 5 yet, but he did finish 5th here in the spring on the dirt, but at the track at least. And if he's 13th or 14th, means he's pretty close to getting that top 10 at plus 360 or 325. I think he can get it done. And like I said, he was running 3rd and 4th in the stage. He's finished 4th in stage 1, 3rd in stage 2 last year. Had a fast car. He was up front. Maybe he's a surprise. Oh boy, should we? We might be adding another here, Rod. Maybe surprisingly he starts. As I look for some odds, I'll keep talking. But maybe surprisingly he starts well, and he's up front and just keeps it up front all day. Maybe track position is key for him, and he gets it done. Rod, we are going to officially add Chase Briscoe, fastest qualifier, 20-1.
Woo!
Why not? We're all in on Chase Briscoe, yes, this week. And I just think he's really, really good at this type, and you've got to take advantage. The books are going to sleep on his number a little because he doesn't get the results on a week-to-week basis. It makes it scary, but you got to trust the research. You got to trust the trends. Chase Brisk, yes, to finish in the top 10, plus 325. The top 5 at 10-1, and to be the fastest qualifier, 20-1.
You got a lot of folks in the Discord holding their nose right now. They're actually, first of all, wellness check, guys. You might want to check on your boy Cody because you might want to see
if we have to talk about this.
I'm just saying, like, you might have to check on him because he's a little punch drunk right now. You got blink twice if we need to save you.
Just don't look at my Discord name because I lost a friendly wager to our friend Ty Tiger, and I had to change my my profile picture to the Colorado Buffaloes being 2-0, and I had to put in parentheses after my name, I believe in Prime. Neither of which things I believe in or like, but I will pay up on my bet.
I'm just saying, who's the puppet master behind this Briscoe?
Now, yes. Now here's some Chase Brisk yes for you. Oh, it's going to be a good Saturday night when Chase Briscoe comes through for us. And then we got to go back to Texas next week and just fade him again. I'm telling you right now, I don't care how good he does. He can win this race. We're fading him at Texas next week because they'll be slow again.
Yeah, and we've told you this. I mean, if you've listened to this show for 20 minutes, you know exactly what he's talking about. So love it. Well, we're going to be loving this next bet too, because this one's I love this value for this. 365. We're giving me Eric Jones as a top 10 car at plus 240. You guys, it's quietly become Eric Jones, and he's done so much better than I think we would have expected earlier in the season, definitely expected earlier in the season, and even later on in the season as he's progressed through this. He is, and I think really, we talked about it earlier as far as Eric Jones being the one that's carried legacy. You got to figure they're probably funneling all the money that they were ever going to funnel into anything into that 43 car. Once he started showing speed, they're like, oh, let's make sure this 43 car starts getting faster, as evidenced by his last 2 finishes: 10th at Darlington, 3rd at Kansas, but he's also got a 10th at Michigan, a 9th at Pocono, 11th at Loudon. Go back to earlier in the season, it was a bad start for everybody, right? We were dumping on Legacy so much they couldn't get out of the top 20 most weeks, but then again, he started finding speed at these 1.5 miles, these miles, and fantastic. But what screams at me more is that you look at the driver averages from Bristol over the last couple of seasons, right? Since February 2020, he has the 4th best finishing position of active drivers, being Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, AJ Allmendinger, by the way, who has 1 race and snuck his way up into there. So we'll even throw him out. He's got the 3rd best finishing average at 9.3. His average finish here on this track is 9.3. When you go back to the last few races, average finishing position for him in his entire 10 starts, 13.6, not too far out of the top 10. 21st last year in this race. Again, kind of throw that out because before it was an 8th. He finished 3rd in the 20 car and 5th in the 20 car in the 2 races before that in 2020. So he is able and willing and just capable of getting 10th place finishes when you count him out. Plus 240, I think, for a top 10. We talk about top 10 odds being disgusting. I'm not sure how this snuck through, but I love it because I think Eric Jones is in for another top 10 finish on this track. He's been hanging with the big boys lately and really coming through. And not even has he necessarily done it all race long. He just sort of found his way up there when he needed to be there. Like he may not have been, he may have been battling 15th, right, to 20th all race long. And on a short track, it's not hard to make that ground up either. So I love him as a top 10 car. Plus 240. Yes, please.
We found the bet that Rod stole from me. I fully endorse this. As soon as I saw this, now I go, oh my God. I go into the document. I started typing and I looked up and I go, motherfucker. Rod took it from me. So full endorsement of this. Eric Jones, top 10. I love. I'm going to take it a step farther just since he stole it from me. Eric Jones will finish in the top 5, 7-1. Rod, there's only one track he is better at than Bristol since 2020. Surprisingly, Talladega, which usually people don't have great average finishes on super speedways. Eric Jones very good on there. Keep that in mind in a few weeks when we go to Talladega. But 9.3 average finish for Eric Jones at Bristol since 2020. Rod, 9.3 is inside of the top 5. or inside of the top 10, rather. It's not inside the top 5, but it's close to the top 5. That's where I was going with that. He's been really good here, and he finished 21st here last year, but he was 8th in 2021 in that 43 car prior to the next gen era when it was really not a good team. And look, he just finished 3rd last week, not because of a late restart, because he was up there running there late and he was fast. He's looked good. He's been on a pretty good run. He's got 4 career top 5 finishes at Bristol, including one time in the 77 car for Furniture Row Racing before his Joe Gibbs Racing days. Like I said, 3rd last week. He was 10th at Darlington, 11th at New Hampshire not very long ago. He's got 7 top 11 finishes in the last 12 races. That's a pretty good run here lately by these legacy cars. Hocevar is obviously back in the 42, and he's stepped that program up as well. They continue to be doing well. So, yeah, give me Eric Jones, top 5 plus 700 to piggyback off your top 10. And then also I wanted to toss out Ryan Preece, a top 10 finish, 8-1. Absolutely ridiculous odds. Ryan Preece, one of the best short track racers in the entire field. Since 2020, his best track on average, Bristol Motor Speedway, 12.7 average finish in 3 races there. He's got a top 10 finish, and all 3 of them has been inside the top 20. He's consistently finishing inside the top 20. All he has to do is crack the top 10 to cash an 8-1. Yes, please. In his last 5 starts here at this track, since he's only started here 6 times, the last 5 have all been 18th or better after a rough go the first start out. That was in JTG cars. That's been in Stewart-Haas cars. Go back on short tracks earlier this season. We opened the season, the Clash of the Coliseum, the surprise for everyone, Ryan Preece kicking everyone's ass, had a problem, dropped off the pace, got it fixed, but it was too late to get the win, right? Go to Martinsville, qualifies on the pole. There's that Stewart-Haas short track qualifying package, right? Starts on the pole, leads the entire first stage, speeding on pit road, gets sent to the back, and that was it. But he looked really good. Finished 5th place at Richmond most recently. Richmond is probably the most comparable. Again, there's no direct comparisons, but the most comparable you're going to get. Richmond, Ryan Preece, a short track guy. According to all the rumors, he's still looking for a ride next year. It's not a done deal. He's coming back in that 41. Not a done deal. Stewart-Haas still owns the 41 next year. We don't know. He's got to show off a little. He's going to show off his short track package this week. The Stewart-Haas guys, they're good on short tracks. That they have struggled mightily this season, Stewart-Haas Racing as a whole, but short tracks is where they've got it. Ryan Preece is great at it. 8-1 for a top 10 finish for Ryan Preece.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've seen this. I mean, that's the thing. We've seen it out of SHR when they get on these short tracks, and we see them run up front. So it would not be, and I can't believe it's 8-1. Honestly, that's crazy to think that it's 8-1 for this. So I definitely agree with you on this one. All right, I'm going to take a more, I guess, established team here, and we'll go with Chase Elliott as a top 5 car at plus 170 over, excuse me, on bet 365. For Elliott, this is a little bit of a stretch, I think, in my opinion, although he did finish 2nd last year after starting 23rd. And really, this team
and the year before, I know everybody likes to point out the fact that he held up Harvick and cost him, but everybody forgets Harvick cost Elliott earlier. Like, Elliott was the fastest car prior to that incident, and then paid back Harvick because Harvick had wrecked him, but he was very fast that race too.
Yeah, and he led 129 laps. That's what I'm saying. So he was leading 129 of those laps. He started 4th. He definitely had the pace to be a top 5 car if he would not have had that issue as well. 7th place in 2020. A bad outing in the second 2020 race, but 5th place in the 2019. All told, he's got 4 top 5s in 12 starts, 6 top 10s, but really doesn't tell the whole story because even in those top 10s, it was a 7th place finish in 2017 when he was in the 24 back in the day. So he's been fast around this track, right? I mean, this is a track that he's definitely comfortable with. He's familiar with. The last 3 starts for him, a 4th place at Daytona, 8th place at Darlington, 6th place at Kansas. He's been inside and been zeroing in on a top 5 finish. So basically what this is how much of a spoiler do you want to be if you're Chase Elliott in the playoffs for this as well? Look back, he finished 5th at Richmond in 2022. A 10th place at Martinsville in 2023, 10th place in Martinsville at 20. He didn't obviously race Richmond this year, but 5th place at Richmond in 2021, 2nd place at Martinsville. He won Martinsville in 2021 and 2020. So he's definitely had some good short track. He's not just a road racer, but he's definitely had some good success on a short track. I just feel like this is the 9 teams way of sort of showing we got gypped because of injury, because of penalty, because of all kinds of stuff. We got gypped. So they're just going to go play spoiler for the rest of the season. And I think last week they did that, right? Clearing up into the finish that they got over in Kansas. And I just feel like this is going to be more of the same, right? I mean, he was denied a top 10 or top 5 in Kansas by a position. I don't think he's going to be denied a position this time. I think he'll be a top 10 at plus 170.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. Obviously, the books realized their mistake last week after giving us the pricing they did. He's only 10-1 to win this race, but he's the type of guy that can come out and win this race easily. So it's definitely no question about it. He won the All-Star race here a couple of years ago, too. Also just absolutely dominated that race. So throw that out there as well. Rod, I just realized that every single box we have here, which is how many boxes? We got 6 different boxes.
Yes.
They all feature at least one Stewart-Haas driver in them.
They do.
That sort of scares me a little. I had not realized that until now, but we're going to roll with the punches. This time, it's Kevin Harvick. Top 5 finish at plus 240 over on Bet365. Kevin freaking Harvick. I talked about him a little bit earlier. He's really, really fucking good here. He is just so good at Bristol. He is the 3rd best average finish here since 2020. Kyle Larson in less races. Clint Boyer in less races. Obviously, he's been retired for a minute. Are the only 2 drivers above him on the list. 6.0 is his average finish. Like I said, 2 of the last 3, he's been inside the top 2. Arguably the best car at the end. In the race, he finished 2nd. 1 year a couple of years ago, 10th last year. But Kevin Harvick just to finish inside the top 5, which he's done in 2 of the last 3 at this track, plus 240. I was very, very shocked that this number was this far up. I don't really have an explanation for why it's so high. And we'll talk about him in the outright market here too, because he's really being slept on for how fucking good he is at this track. I don't know why the books don't see it. That was the other bet you took from me. We'll get to that when we get to the outrights here in a few. But yeah, Kevin Harvick top 5 at plus 240. Sign me up, please. I really, really like this bet.
I will talk about him more in the future, for your information. So I will grab my winning car bet again, because I'm confident in this one. This is 11.5 is the number. I'm taking the under on this one, minus 120. The thing is that this under is not juiced out of contention. It is not juiced at all, in my opinion, to where it should be. Listen, 16 wins in their careers of drivers that drive cars under 8.5. I will name them off for you. Kyle Busch has 8 of them. Kevin Harvick has 3 of them. Brad Keselowski has 3 of them. Denny Hamlin has 2 of them. Even Kyle Larson has a win on this track in this configuration. That is 16 wins out of the top, I think 10 drivers is really what it is, that have scored wins on this, are all driving cars under this number. Kyle Busch already has 3 wins this season, right? Brad Keselowski's been a contender. Kevin Harvick's been a contender. Joey Logano, obviously, always a contender, right? Kyle Larson, the favorite to win this race, right? All of these guys under 11.5. That is a powerhouse. Oh, and by the way, Chase Elliott, who could accidentally jump up and win this race too, is under the 11.5 number. It's crazy to me that this is only minus 120 when it could be somewhere in the midst of minus 170, minus 180. And you would probably still kind of make a case to go for this. So, I mean, look, and then there's also an extra Stewart-Haas car in there that we haven't even talked about, Eric Almirola, in that 10 car that could get.
Now I got to find a way to bet on him because he's the only one I left out, and he's good at short tracks too, Rod.
And then this is a way to get in on that. You think Ross Chastain may accidentally win this one too?
Probably
then
not,
that's fine. You get that one as well. You get a pretty hefty stable of drivers under 11.5. Each of them at the top of the favorites board for a reason. So
that's 4 of the top 6. That's
and 16 wins on this track over the last few seasons, right? That's in their career.
That is a lot of wins. No argument from me here. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of guys that I'm going to bet on that are over this number, but again, if you're going to bet on guys over the number, it's just a way to hedge, right? And obviously, if you hit somebody that's underneath, which one of mine is as well, you double dip. So, yeah, just watch out for Chase Briscoe since he's in the 14 car.
I'm not scared. All right, we will be back. We'll talk some outrights. We have plenty of them to give you, as we always do. But let's introduce you to a show that we love on this network.
Hey everybody, if you play fantasy football, especially in auction leagues,
or you're a whiskey fan.
Yes, exactly. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast Fantasy Football Channel show, Old Fashioned Football.
Coming to you every Tuesday morning, give us a listen. We'll bring you the latest fantasy football data, including
the injury report,
studs and duds,
waiver wire targets,
and suggested fab.
Market movers. After all, we are the Marks.
He is my hubby.
And she's J Mark's wifey.
And we're bringing all this to you while drinking an old fashioned and giving you our honest review of a different whiskey every week.
All that and more. Hop on over, give us a listen, come for the football, stay for the whiskey.
This ad's almost done.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Got some whiskey that I'm sitting on for when I get to visit the Marks. I'm not going to bust it out. It may age another 10 years, but I'm going to save it till I meet the Marks.
There you go. I got to drink some whiskey with them when I went to Iowa Speedway for the IndyCar race. So that was wonderful.
So
I took them some whiskey they hadn't tried too. So that was great when you get to bring whiskey to the whiskey experts. If they haven't yet tried. I enjoyed that.
I love it. All right, Cody, who's going to win this race?
Well, like I said, I wasn't like one guy I really zeroed in on. I feel like this race can go a lot of different ways. I feel like there is a lot, more so than most weeks. There's a lot of different guys who could win this race, a lot of different ways this race could go. And so I kind of tried to look for value, and that's what I found in these guys. Denny Hamlin over on MGM, plus 800. Rod, he has been the fastest car of the last 2 weeks, hasn't got the win. Maybe this is the week he gets it done. Maybe he comes to Bristol where he's not one of the top favorites, right? He's a little farther down the odds board. Maybe he gets it done this week. He's on fire right now, right? He's been getting good finishes. 9th here the last 2 seasons, so not incredible results up front, right? But he has won here twice. 7 times he's finished on the podium in the top 3. And really, I'm just going off the fact that he was the fastest car in the last 2 races. The best car didn't win either of those races. Maybe he puts it together, gets it done this week. 2nd place at Richmond, 4th place at Martinsville, a couple of the other short track packages earlier this season. So give me Denny Hamlin, 8-1 over on MGM. Also, Caesars has a boost with him and Max Verstappen, plus 950. Again, we haven't done the F1 podcast yet, but what is Max Verstappen's on 10 in a row, 11 in a row?
He hasn't lost since he's started driving. So that's
pretty much. Yeah. So that's not going to say automatic because it's still gambling, of course. Right. But it's about as automatic as you can get in the racing world at this point in time. So that's not a bad way to play it either. Joey Logano. I don't go out with Joey very much. He's hit and miss. It's going to be hard to bet on him to finish well, just because it's like sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. This just feels like, and this might be more of the gut handicapper in me than necessarily the statistics. This just feels like the type of race Joey Logano shows up and wins, right? Nobody's expecting it. All the talk is Brad Keselowski. He was the best car here last year. Chris Buescher, the best car at the end. He gets the first RFK win, right? And then starts this whole streak. They've got all these wins now and everything. But Joey Logano, you go back and you look since 2020, he is the best average finish of all drivers, of all active drivers on short tracks. 18 races. And I forgot to write down what the actual average finish was, but it is very good. It's better than everyone else, so that's all that matters. Joey Logano, he pops up and he's good in random weird times. This is one of those random weird times. If we want to look at the playoff picture here, he is only 12 points to the good. Again, Fords have been good here, or good on short tracks here lately. Joey Logano just feels like, and at 17-1, I think that's what really does it. I was trying to find somebody a little bit longer odds. Who do I think really could win this race? So we're gonna go with the gut handicapping for this one. Take Joey Logano 17-1 over on MGM. And then, Rod, I promised you that there would be an SHR car in every box. And yes, I am taking Chase Briscoe, yes, 100-1 over on Caesars Sportsbook. Chase Briscoe, I know I've hated on him all season. One of my biggest bets that I am holding currently is Chase Briscoe under half a win. That ticket is looking very good. It's looking very solid. But if that ticket is going to go up in flames, this would be the race for it to go up in flames at 100-1. We had non-playoff drivers win these first 3 races, I think it was last year, including Chris Buescher winning this race, probably at more than 100-1, to be honest with you, at that point in time. So Chase Briscoe, it can get done. You're going to have all the – what have we seen throughout these playoffs? Playoff driver after playoff driver having issues. Last week at Kansas, it was 7, it was 8, it was 9. Everybody had problems. At Darlington, playoff driver after playoff driver. These guys aren't going to finish in the top 16 spots. It's not going to happen that way. And guys like Chase Briscoe, 4th and 3rd in the 2 stages last year, put himself up front. We already know he's going to start on the pole. If Chase Briscoe wins this, he'll cash the 100-1. He'll cash the 10-1. He'll cash the plus 325. Maybe he'll even start on the pole and cash the 20-1. It's a Chase Briscoe yes week. And if Chase Briscoe wins this race, I might even not bet against him next week, just because I will have loved him so much for winning this.
Well, and here's the thing, with as much as you've been able to do lately, I'm trusting your gut 100%. Like, there's no way I'm
feeling this heater, Rod. We're taking it to 100-1.
Listen, we're going all the way to not 1, not 2, not 3. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It makes me a little uneasy because we've been off of him all week, but all season. But we'll take this. And like you said, if he cashes this 100-1, it doesn't matter about your futures ticket for that, because that's going to pay for itself. So, all right, I am a little bit pissed off that I looked at the books because I wanted this number.
The numbers have gone much far down on these guys, unfortunately.
They sure as hell have. Well, only on one. And earlier I got in on Kyle Larson. And the reason I picked Kyle Larson was because of the number. And I'm going to stick with it because I did find a similar number somewhere else. So I'll stick with that. But BetMGM had Kyle Larson at 7-1 when I was doing my research this morning. I thought, yes, please. Since it has dropped to where most books have him, is at plus 550. I think BetMGM realized, oh shit, we need to make sure we don't throw away our money. So they lowered theirs. But Bet365 still has him at plus 600. I like this for him. I mean, for Kyle Larson, there's almost no argument that you need to make. It's just Kyle Larson, right? He won this race a couple of years ago. He finished 5th. In 14 starts, he's got 9 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and that win. He's riding a 5th place finish from last year, but he did lead 34 laps in that. And you talked about what happened to him and why he ended up where he did. So obviously he could have very easily won this race as well. But you also look back at what he's done on short tracks so far. 19th at Richmond earlier this year. That was a rough one, but he won Martinsville. He won Richmond in the spring. He finished 2nd at Martinsville, 5th at Bristol, right? I mean, he's won at Bristol before, bunch of 5th place finishes at Richmond and Martinsville. He's good at short tracks. I mean,
old-fashioned ass whooping at North Wilkesboro in the All-Star race.
Yep. I mean, that doesn't count in the standings, but he definitely put a nice little stomping on all the field there at that short track as well. So Kyle Larson already has that win, right? He can just go for broke and go for another win. That's what this team is going to want to do. They don't need a good points day. They don't need anything. They're just going to go out and try to win this race as they always do. I didn't like plus 500. I'm not necessarily comfortable at plus 600, but I mean, you'd be kind of mad at yourself if you didn't have him on your ticket and he did ended up just killing the field. So plus 600, we'll split the difference on that one.
It's not been kind to the favorites the last couple of weeks or the best cars, right? But he should be like, I know I said I didn't feel great about anyone, and mostly that's because I couldn't find good prices on Larson. This is a good price still. 6-1 is a good price, but like top 5s, top 3s. You're not getting good prices, but he should be hands down the best car in this field. Like, he's very, very good here. He was very good last week. It's just so hard to trust lately. That's my only issue. But
that's why I tried to stay away. Like, I did not want to put, and that's why when I looked, I didn't look at I mean, like I said, I just took a quick glance and I was like, ugh. And then I went and kind of looked through just to sort of make myself calm down off of the odds, because I was like, I can't stray just because it's not what I want, right? I mean, sometimes the obvious bet is the best bet. So
yeah, and and it's 6-1. It's not 3-1. You don't have to go way down. It's still a good price, so it's hard to argue against.
Yeah, at 3 or 4-1, there's no way I'm touching this because there's too much that can go on that can grab you. But 6-1, that's a little better. 7-1 would be even nicer, but we'll take it. All right, also on 365, and this is another one where you need to jump on this now because other books have him as low as 11-1 from what I've seen, and that's Kevin Harvick. I understand, I know, and I bleed Kevin Harvick along with everybody else as far as wanting him to have a good solid race. And if there's any race that can get this done, it's got to be this one, right? I mean, this track has been kind to him over the years. He's made 42 starts on this track. 42. I haven't done anything 42 times. No, I'm just kidding. I've done this show 42 times. But I mean, 42 starts on this track. 22 top 10s, 14 top 5s, 3 wins on this one. The latest of which came on that 2020 race where he led 226 laps of this race, right? I mean, Kevin Harvick is phenomenal on this track. He finished second in 2021, did have a 10th place finish in the 2022 race where he ended up, he was starting 7th, finished in 10th. But I mean, you got to just think that at some point, Kevin Harvick is going to find victory lane one more time before he bows out. This is too good a driver to not win another race before he leaves. And this is as good a track as any for him to try to get that done. I listed to you guys earlier the winners on this track, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, right? All those guys. Kevin Harvick is up there with 3 wins on this track. Nobody else really has more than a couple past Kevin Harvick. So yeah, he doesn't have any wins. Yeah, it's been a rough go for him the last few weeks. I mean, 8th at Michigan, 10th at Richmond, 4th at Pocono, 4th at Loudon, just some good finishes in there. But then, of course, the couple of road courses that were trash. Daytona finished 9th, but that was lucky. 11th at Kansas last week. So this is more of at 16-1. If I were a script writer in NASCAR, I would make sure Kevin Harvick wins this race on his way out. So I'll take that swing at 16-1.
Well, I don't want to spoil it in case not everybody's seen the script, but him winning Phoenix is the ultimate way for him to go out.
True.
But this is the one I was going to take also, but Rod beat me to it. So absolutely love this. Kevin Harvick, he should not be this low of a price. He's really fucking good here. Top 3 or top 2 in 2 of the last 3 races. Like that's all you need to know enough on this track. Really good here. He's got the wins. He's got everything. I don't know if anybody's heard, but I like Stuart Haas this week. I think they're going to be good, and who's the best driver in that camp? So, yeah, the Kevin Harvick. This is a great play. I wish I would have been on it, but I guess we'll let you have a win this week, Rod.
I mean, I gotta have something, right? I started this show. I gotta have some kind of success. Can't have all the fun.
You've had just as many winners as I have. I just happened to hit them all in one week.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the fun part about this show, man. I mean, as much as we do this, like just being able to sit here every day, talk to you, hand out winners. It's what makes this exactly the place I want to be every single day. So I'll gush. I know people hate it when I gush. They're like, "Oh, Rod, not again." But
I love it.
I know, and I love you guys for it. So, all right, get out your pen and paper and stop drawing the hearts all over your notebook. This is time for you to start writing down some of these bets. Cody,
wait, can you see my notebook from there? It's way down.
I was about to say I didn't know where I was going with that. I just had to get out of it as quickly as I could.
Stop doodling. I'm sorry.
What the Stussy S's? Remember when people used to draw those Stussy S's? Maybe you're too young for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the other grandpas like me out there remember the Stussy S's. All right. Join the Discord. Draw some Stussy S's with me. Cody started you out with brisk yes over Daniel Suarez. at plus 110 over on Caesars. I gave you a quick qualifying bet. I gave you Joey Logano over Kevin Harvick in qualifying at minus 115. That means Logano will qualify better than Harvick, just in case we don't, because we don't give those out very often. Just to clarify, Cody gave you Kevin Harvick over Martin Truex in the actual race at minus 115 over on Bet365. I gave you Kyle Busch over Blaney in the actual race at minus 110 on Superbook. Cody gave you Brisk, yes, as a top 10 car at plus 365. Plus 325 on Bet365 and as a top 5 at 10-1. Also got crazy with the fastest qualifier at 20-1. We're going nutty. We're feeling it this week. And then I gave you Eric Jones as a top 10 car at plus 240 on Bet365. Cody gave you Ryan Preece is a top 10 driver at 8-1, and Jones as a top 5 driver at 7-1. I gave you Chase Elliott as a top 5 car at plus 170 over on Bet365. Cody gave you Kevin Harvick as a top 5 car at plus 240. I said the winning car would be a number 11 or less at minus 120. And then Cody gave you Denny Hamlin at 8-1 on MGM and 950 boost for him. Denny Hamlin to win the race on Saturday, and Max Verstappen to do what he's always done on Sunday and win the F1 race over on Caesars. Joey at 70-1 on MGM, and Brisk, yes, at 100-1 on Caesars. I gave you Larson. Go grab that number before it changes at 6-1 on 365, and Harvick at 16-1 at 365. Cody, we did it. We made it.
The biggest question now, will he be referred to as Chase Brisk? Yes. Or will he be referred to as number 14 next week?
That is the burning question, because if you burn us, we no longer say your name on the broadcast.
Putting a lot of faith in you, Chase Briscoe. Don't make me look stupid.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm just telling you right now, I will be in the Discord with popcorn if something happens. So
I might change my once my 7-day bet is up. After 7 days, I change my avatar. I might change it to Chase Briscoe if we catch this one.
Oh man. All right. Well, the only thing that's left to do now is watch 500 laps of Bristol in the lights, and so many. I think there's fun paint schemes this week too, right? They always do the fun.
Yeah, there's some like black schemes and nighttime related ones. So I haven't looked through all of them yet, but that Mountain Dew one's gonna be pretty cool on the 31. I know Chase Elliott's doing a black Napa one. So yeah, there's gonna be some cool ones. Hopefully William Byron's got that Raptor one. That one always looks nice. But yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be a good race. Again, don't forget Saturday night. Make sure you get those bets in. Make sure you get those DFS lineups set. All of that. Tune back in this week for the rest of our shows. Click that little bell on the YouTube channel just in case for the truck episode, because you never know what could be coming your way for sure. But Rod, everybody can follow me if they would like to over on X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my work there. Just about to go finish up my running back rankings for week 2 of fantasy football for Last Word on Sports. And I'll have a DFS stacks article coming out for every Sunday game. The Millie Maker had the 2 in a week. I know that's kind of an obvious one, and I try to find some not obvious ones, but I did have that in there. Aaron Jones had him in there with his massive day against the Bears before he got hurt. Still ended up being the number 1 fantasy running back on the week. So check out all that stuff. And come back for the rest of the week. And F1 Gambling Podcast, we'll have that out at some point this week as well.
Indeed, we will. I'm on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio. Everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it is in between media, the back road on Thursday. We'll be talking with Elliot and Seth about Bristol, baby. Check out Fast Money. I may even have that out on Thursday as well, just because I want to make sure we get all the odds in for those great parlays. If you're into football, I have some prop bets up from SBR. I've been going a couple of hitting some pretty good ones over there for sportsbook reviews, so check that out as well. Whew. Again, pretty busy all over the place. So just catch us there. All the work in the links. Bye, guys. I'm running out of steam. Just kidding. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Chase Brisk, yes. We'll see you tomorrow with more racing. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.